to the round of 68 Human Madness Tournament. I'm Eddie Hajas. This is Hallroglyphics to my right.
Yours truly, guilty as charged. Now, Mankind Madness. Once again, we're going to bring you the Battle Royale, 64 teams, 4 play-in teams, 68 in general. These teams are not teams. These teams are ideas. These teams are accomplishments. These teams are mankind's greatest achievements, innovations, contributions to
historic events, possibly.
Planet Earth and the future and the past and everything. That's how we got here today to pre-2018, late 2017. These are the things that we need to discuss. But before we start picking teams, before we start adding things, we need to set the ground rules, which are the rules and regulations. And I think my fellow contributor here, my compatriot, my compadre, Eddie Hajas, can kind of start to set up his very...
Yeah, actually, and before we get into that, actually, I did want to mention one other thing.
Yes.
Yes. So this doesn't really have much to do with the rules and regulations, and this is going to be the first time you've heard. This is some new material even for Hallroglyphics over here. But just to see if we can get some more participation from everyone out there. I've had a very good year, I'll say, and I'm going to put up some money for this tournament. And what that means is, if there's 100 views that we get on YouTube, 100 views equals $100. And the way that's going to get divvied up is one lucky person out there that makes the best comment, as deemed by me and Hallro here, will get a $50. We might just give you, I just might mail cash. You're not even supposed to do that, but maybe I'll just mail cash directly to you. And then I'll also donate $50 to, I don't know, either a charity of my choice, or if someone comments on a charity that's worthwhile, I'll consider that too. And maybe if this
very generous, Hajas, yeah. Very generous.
So that's 100 views, $100. 1,000 views equals $250, split in half, same way that I just mentioned. 10,000 views, $500.
You know, I thought you were going to say there will be a reward, and you totally are.
Yeah.
We take all the risk. You guys can take all the reward. That's the point.
Absolutely.
But he's putting his money where his mouth is, and that's big time. And
yes, there'll be transparency about it. Yeah, and these are not. I'm sorry, like, man.
I'd love to tell you I'm going to match it, but that's TBD.
Can we give the money to our friends? That's probably should think about that. It probably can't be someone that we know directly. Friend of a friend. It's tough. Like, who's going to watch this thing?
By the end of this, we're not going to have any friends. That's
the point. Probably.
So, we still hope that we're still friends at the end of this.
Yeah.
But it's going to be contentious.
Yeah.
Battle Royale. Once again, we are pitting mankind's greatest achievements in an elimination format from 4-2-1, basically.
Yes.
But let's start with 64.
But
let's hope we come up with that many ideas.
And I have one more level.
But wait,
1 million views, $1,000.
If we get 1 million views.
Yes, I'm going to donate $500 to whoever is this. You don't even have to be the best person out there. I don't really care. It's just the best comment that maybe even has a little bit of impact on this show.
Right.
You get $500, another $500 to the charity. It has to be a small charity. I'm not sure. This is not going to the Red Cross, any of that. Throw the charities that this money should go to. Go ahead and make this viral, so people, benefit for this production that we're putting on.
That's a pretty great idea.
Humanity's been waiting for this for years.
Yes, they have.
And
they can't wait no longer.
It's finally here. So,
I mean, we are in dire straits. We're in desperate need of some good news, or maybe just some perspective, because in today's day and age, with the pussy grabber in chief and the White House and the Oval Office, and men of all sorts have been, coming out and getting accused of being basically the mopes that they are, and there's evil everywhere. There's hepatitis A in San Diego. I mean, what can you say? It's at the end of times. We're not ready to call it.
There's amazing things going on, and there's positive people doing amazing positive things for a lot of people. So that's what
Newtonian
physics.
What this is. Up there's a down. For every left there's a right.
Ultimately, this is what we're doing, right? We're trying to be positive. Someone needs to win. Just because you lose in the bracket, like, hey, like, it's an honor to get into this bracket. Like, you don't just don't throw up a couple names and they'll land in the bracket. These are things and concepts that year after year after year have had to show up. They've had to be perennial all-stars, winners of their division, every now and then someone will come in there and explode in a year or two. But generally, I mean, yeah, like this is the long road.
There's chalk, which is the top seeds, and then there's the upset bids from the Cinderella seeds. There'll be both in this particular battle royale. But what we need to keep in mind is that, yeah, for every positive, there's a negative. For every human achievement, there's probably been a residual effect that hasn't really turned out so great for either the Mother Nature or other people. But we will keep this, on the up and up. I think, primarily for me, and this might be rule number one, we want to keep this meta. We want to keep this at the nexus, the very simplest terms of things, not the derivatives of things, if we can. Now, if the derivatives of things have somehow made, exponential progress on the initial one, but it's like they say, reinventing the wheel. You don't go around reinventing the wheel, so the wheel is going to be primary. I mean, we could almost guarantee that wheel is going to be one of the top seeds.
It's going to be a combination. We're looking at, for impacts at particular moments that, had jumps.
Right.
Right? So there's going to be things like the wheel that are just, it's a very singularity type of invention that happened, and that was pretty much probably it, right? It probably wasn't, renditions of the wheel. You either just have a wheel or you don't.
Right.
But then there's something like a car that potentially might make the bracket. I don't even know if it will.
But the combustion engine came before the car, and the trains used the wheel before that. So certainly we're going to have derivatives at some level.
Yes.
But, let's say the person who invented flying or whatever, Orville Wright or Orville Redenbacher, who cares? We don't necessarily need to give those people... actual human beings are not going to necessarily be the teams here. You're not.
I don't know. I think this is a good
Henry Ford versus Jesus. But
I don't know. Jesus.
TBD.
How about does Jesus get into the turn? I wanted to speak to you on this because
right,
I actually
Jesus versus Nikola Tesla,
I definitely
stuff like that. I think that.
There has to be some people that make the tournament.
Right.
For
Spoiler
sure,
alert.
right?
Sacrilege.
So okay. So yeah, we're just this is as we mentioned before. This is the first time we've officially sorted this out. So
we're sorting it out in front of you guys. It's haphazard.
The whole concept. So it's possible these are just the biggest impacts. A lot of people have put together greatest people of all time, right?
Yeah.
The greatest
top 10 lists
the greatest inventions of all time. But this is everyone's invented to this show. This is the biggest the dance.
Right.
Everyone's invited.
Invited.
It could be a person, it could be an invention, it could be something that people have discovered, and it could be maybe, I don't know, there's probably some wild cards out there that we don't even know.
Just conceptually thinking, like we mentioned in the intro, in order to get this podcast off, we needed cotton, we needed plastics, we needed electricity, we needed, cameras, we needed fiber optic cable, we needed semiconductors, the list goes on and on just simply to produce this podcast. But that's kind of the point, is that we take all these things for granted in our day-to-day life. If we can't get on the Wi-Fi in 0.2 seconds, we just lose our fucking minds. And instead it's well, wow, let's be happy that somebody, invented the cotton gin in order to be able to create fabric so we can all be clothed and not freezing, even in 80-degree San Diego.
Yeah, and before that, thank God, they found ways to cultivate fire.
Right. 130 or 40 years ago, it would have just been a black and white sepia still of me and him sitting there going and that's all you get.
That's it. Maybe we can write in a book, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So it basically anything can show up into this, right?
Right.
We've established that. We're in agreement.
But I think just rule number one is we're going to try and keep it as macro, meta, nexus as possible. And that would really lend itself to the heavyweights of human achievement.
So let me tell you things that I at least think that should not make it into the bracket.
Okay.
That I don't think they can. So everything in this bracket needs to be specific to human, if you want to call it evolution or whatever the progress of our unraveling in the last couple 100,000 years to get to us now. It has to be specific to our species. So things like water is fucking super important for us, right? We're gonna fucking die. But water doesn't make it into the bracket because every fucking living thing on the planet needs
carbon-based life forms. The Earth is 75% water. Humans are 75% water. But humans really had very little to do with the creation of water. Fire could be put in the same boat, except we learned how to harness it.
Yes, and no other animal knows how to do that.
To wit, yes. So that's impressive. So that's kind of why, you know, and you would expect fire to probably be a #1 seed all the way through. So, or at least the harnessing of fire, the creation of fire, being able to, you know, take what Zeus and God gave man the ability to create fire. So, I mean, certainly I agree with you there. Inanimate objects, you know, things of that nature, that are nature. Maybe Mother Nature. Just say, Mother Nature, you're out. I don't know. But did Mother Nature create cancer, or did humans create cancer? I mean, is cancer
but certain
on this list,
certain things in Mother Nature are definitely going to be on.
Okay.
You know, I think although they're accessible to like many species, I can, without getting into specifics, there's definitely things that it's kind of they're more like discoveries.
Yeah.
Like we've discovered something in that, through that discovery and that harness of what that discovery did and how we utilized it, and if that had an impact of our race and culture, then it's in the tournament.
I know what he's thinking. Are you thinking it? Yell it out. Is it penicillin? Maybe, but we'll figure it out from here.
That's pretty man-made.
That's kind of well, penicillin shows up on your oranges when you let them rot, though, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's just fun.
Yeah. So that's the point. Yeah. So things like that are, you know, kind of the basis. And like you said, we have a layman's take, but it has to kind of be the everyman's take on this. We might condone or deign to bring in experts, maybe call a friend who wants to be a millionaire style or something like that. But in general, all the facts have been developed already, and we're just going to spit them to you in the truth, the lit as fuck, woke fashion, as taught to me by the Wu-Tang Clan. And but things of that nature, you know, we'll get to. But the rules continue with Mr. Hajas.
Yeah. So I think that establishes what gets in and what doesn't get in.
Okay.
Pretty well, right?
Yes.
How about we jump? We might have to even come back to that if things come up. But let's just talk a little bit about the bracket format. This is based off of the NCAA basketball men's college tournament, which a lot of you out there should understand, hopefully follow. Whenever we talk about one of these things, we talk about it as a team. And its attributes will be like the players on that team. So, what I was thinking, Hall, when we have matchups, there is going to be a score. There'll be a score of certain attributes against other attributes, how they cancel out each other.
Or a simple Rochambeau.
I mean, if it comes down to that, that's possible. But it'll be a 64 team bracket, and then there'll be another 8 teams that will have to play preliminary that are outside the bracket. I have a feeling there's going to be a couple wild cards.
We attack here and here. The point is this is one bracket right here. This is another bracket right here. Lest the bracket be busted, things will go according to plan. The top seed, #1 seed, is always in the most advantageous position to advance. Thus, it faces the lowest seed, in this case, the 4 seed. Then the middle seeds would face each other, 2 and 3. So if this was the most important thing out there, then it has the best chance because it has the least important thing that we think or consider against it. But if we, throughout the course of our dialogue, decide, you know what? This has got a shot. This has got an outside chance. This is a long shot coming down the home stretch through the track to cross the finish line first. So the 4 advances and faces one of the winners of the 2 or 3.
It happens
and then
every
the same
year.
thing happens here until you get one of these, and these are going to face off towards the end. And it's going to be a battle of attrition. It's going to be entropy, chaos, but in an organized fashion in order to get to the final answer.
So the goal of even setting up this bracket is we're going to reward the biggest players in this process of humankind, but also like it's our job as the committee to put teams up against each other, interesting matchups, and so every game has a little bit to offer. You know, like it's going to be hard to make that as a 16 seed versus a 1 seed, but the goal is to balance these 4 brackets up and have probably can't have teams in the quote unquote same conference play each other in the first couple of rounds, right? Want to keep.
There should be 4 quadrants necessarily, and we'll debate how that comes up. And each one of these are going to be going towards the center. But maybe we'll figure out a way to categorize things, and we're going to do this on camera as we progress through the ideas. But let's say this is arts, this is technology, this is nature, and this is wild card or something like that. So in general, we'll try and get things in these quadrants when we set up the categories, and then we'll mix them all up.
Let's talk this, because I actually had mine as well. I had discoveries, inventions, paradigm shifts / influencers, and wild cards.
I love that
as well. But I do like nature is really my discovery.
Okay.
Tech is my invention. What was his first one? Arts. I don't really have an art like that. I don't even know how.
This is more like humanities. This is more like, I mean, the Gutenberg Press is probably both of that because it's basically, it's a technology, but it's based off the arts. And I'm not saying that this is humanities more than anything. But so you said discoveries, inventions.
I like that. I had paradigm shifts / influencers, which probably kind of goes into humanities, right?
Yeah. And that's exactly what that would be, right? Influencers, Mark Zuckerberg, eat your heart out. Okay.
Good luck. Good luck in.
And the number, what was the last one?
I had wild cards too.
Wild card. I love wild card. So wild card is where we're gonna have all the fun, probably. And wild card is gonna bring a lot of light to the rest of these. But like you said, you probably take advantage, or you probably take for granted every single one of these things every day of your life, and so do we. But we're basically the ones making the podcast, so you can hold us out of this.
Yeah. So, how do we decide?
How do we decide? How should we decide a quorum, an agreement? Like, how do we decide when we can move on? Because we're eventually going to have to take these things and put it into 3 different buckets.
Yeah.
We know we have the sure thing, which are the top seeds.
Let's just classify.
These are automatic qualifiers.
Let's classify that as top 16.
Right. Okay. So we should have 16 of these, right? So then we've also got to have kind of.
So those are your at-large automatic bids.
Right. Well, exactly. At-large is different than that because at-large is the people who are trying to get in still. So these guys are in no matter what. We probably have to have 16 of these, 16 of these, and 16 of these, and it's yet to be determined. But certainly, it's just it's a measure of how important these things are. So, and I'm not saying wild cards is a 1-to-1 down to here, but these are just, miscellany. Who knows? Or crazy miscellany.
Yeah.
This is harebrained, let's call it. But somewhere in the middle, we have to have a no-brainer, right? So that's harebrained. Here's no-brainers. And here's honorable mention, maybe. So a bunch of these have no shot, but we're still just going to throw them in there because we need to fill the field.
So there's different ways they get in, right? There's the obvious choice, like so I guess the way we go about this is when we get what we feel are the 68 together,
right?
Which actually we don't even need all 68. We don't. It's going to probably be a strange way this unfolds.
If we get lazy and there's only 32, don't blame us.
It's a 60. It has to be a 68. This is not the NIT. Like this
is not the NIT.
Yeah, this is
the biggest dance.
Yeah. So there is easily 68. There's going to be a lot of teams out there just so that they're not going to know what hit them. They're going to expect to get into this, but you have to draw a line somewhere. So I guess one idea is like we just once we get a substantial number of teams that are in the conversation, we pick 8 apiece, right?
Right.
The teams out of that we match on automatically get in, right? And then we pick another 8, and the teams that match both get in. If we both agree on those first 8 or 4 of the first 8, maybe those are just the number 1 seeds then.
And maybe we need to draw something out of a hat too and just throw some real entropy into it.
I think later on is going to be.
He said we're going to be unbiased, and I don't know if we'll be unbiased or prejudiced or whatever, but we're certainly going to have a take that's as objective as possible. And by putting these things in, we're going to have a criteria, and there's certain things he wants in that I want out, or vice versa.
So what happens in that case?
That's probably what we're going to experience when we go through this, because the sure things we're not going to dispute right away. So the only debate is how far they go. You know, the miscellaneous crazy harebrained, you know, we're probably going to be pulling our hairs out trying to figure out what's going on here. No brainers like, yeah, you know, we both probably agree that there's, you know, it's just how high or how low or how insignificant or what fashion of those do we want. And then the honorable mentions are just like, you know, we think about these things every day, but they might not be that important, but they're certainly ever present.
So how about the things we agree on? They're the easiest, right? So how do we determine the things that we don't agree on? What's kind of like the tie-breaking rules going down?
We could do knife fights. We could do Rochambeau. We could flip a coin.
We can pit those things that, like this would never happen, but if, like, I wanted fire to be a number 1 seed, and you want to throw in rocks to be a number 1 seed, maybe you fight with rocks and I fight with fire. And they could come into the conversation, right? That would definitely.
I'm still trying to figure out how rocks is one of humans' major achievements.
Yeah, wait, it's high. It's high on there.
Rock and roll.
Yeah.
I mean, I get rock and roll, but maybe not just rocks.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Is it music? I mean, I don't know.
Rock and roll. Is that even old enough? Does it? I mean, we're talking about 50 years.
Stand the test of time. Yeah,
I don't know. We'll find out here.
But certainly,
soon
what we're
enough.
saying is like, yeah. I mean,
but let's go back to like some of the things that at least we can do, other than catch each other on fire and stone each other to death. Maybe it's a shot, right? For maybe it's a game of horse.
Game of horse, great idea.
That's exactly.
Okay, but that's how we're going to settle this. If we have a beef, it's the first person to make the best shot.
I think
and the person who can't make the shot loses out, and so it's talent.
If it's a major beef, that's how it goes on. If it's like just a beef with seeding, I would think that
we spin the wheel of the wheel.
No, if it's with seeding, I think most of the time with the seeding, you just pick in between our seeds. Period.
Right. We got to fill the bucket first, so that's going to be.
But we also are going to have things that, like, each of us personally think are fucking really high, where the other person doesn't think it's that high.
Besides the fact that you think that I'm fucking really high right now.
Yes. and maybe the way to break that is to get really high and see what comes out of it.
Right.
But I'll just be in this couch, like, curled up in a ball. Like, I'm going to be a mess if that.
There's high,
it's not
and then
really
there's high brow. We're going to try and keep a high brow, you know.
But not too high.
Right.
2-0-0,
or 2 stoned.
or is it the number 2 high?
Right.
That's the question.
You're either 1 stoned or you're 2 stoned.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
But we digress. So we're trying to make rules to figure this thing out. We're going to put so much in here.
I want to put a Trump rule in honor of the president right now. The Trump rule is we get one thing each. That, like, whatever it is, like, you can only play this card one time, though. It's like, you can't be Trump. Trump is not in the actual game, because if Trump was here, there wouldn't even be a dialogue. Like, can you imagine? Like, he would create the whole thing. Probably, maybe everyone would just be Trump. Like, it'd be Trump against Trump, possibly.
Right.
It'd be or Trump versus
and then
Trump.
Wipe the whole board clean with Russian.
I don't really care. I'm not
what is the Trump rule?
But the Trump rule is we get one decision through this that the other person can't do anything about. And it could be as ridiculous as you want it to be.
I'll meet you halfway. I think we need to have a Trump card, too, which is we get to throw one thing on that board that doesn't fucking belong there, just like the fucking President of the United States.
You get to use it in the number of what you get to use it for a seed. Actually, yeah, you get to use it for a team and the seed.
Right. One apiece.
I'm going to try to be reasonable with this, but I guarantee that there's things that are absolutely going to be unreasonable for Hall to be like, that probably shouldn't even be in a tournament, and I'm going to throw it up as number, like, 6 seed.
Right.
You know, so you get one of those.
One Trump card and one Trump movement.
And then
a Trump veto.
Yes.
I would prefer not to mention his name, though, so let's just call him Drumpf from now on. Drumpf. That's his real name.
Trump.
Would you want Drumpf Tower? Would you want, Trump card? Well, we digress, but that's the current state of affairs, which is why we need this, importantly, because there's some person in the world that thinks they're the best thing since sliced bread, and maybe sliced bread doesn't make the list. And they're sitting in the White House tweeting right now, so we're going to get a Twitter, we're going to get a Twitter full, and we're going to go right after the most powerful POTUS, and we're going to you don't measure up. You don't measure up at all compared to the biggest bracket, to Mankind Madness.
I think people will push for this on the red side and the blue side. I think we're going to make some really good points. We're looking to support both sides of this this team. Adversaries, heroes, all of that will be on this board.
Right.
So getting back to the seeds, at least these first 32 will establish that. We'll eventually establish that. Maybe we put another 8 or 9 teams in there, and then my idea is we have a break. Once we get at 40, we give you, the public, a good taste of...
We're going to have to publish this thing. We're going to come up with our social media handles, TBD, hashtag Mankind Madness, and we'll move on from there.
Yeah.
But and there'll certainly be input, and we know that that's a big part of this, is input. People want to feel like their voice is heard. They want to feel like they have a lot in life, or a pot to piss in, or a voice to be heard, that we're not all predestined to be the schmucks that we are or are not, that there is some kind of fate or destiny. Is it all predetermined? We don't know. I mean, but a certain amount of these things would make you feel like we have control over our destiny, like maybe the invention of the telephone or something like that. Other stuff says maybe we don't have any choice, but it just was a no-brainer because it had to happen. It was destined to happen. The wheel. I mean, something like that. It's like it had to happen. There were stones beforehand that were probably circular, and then they probably just rolled down the hill and turned into a wheel, like Fred Flintstone, yabba dabba dude. So, but that's a good point.
So let's go back to this whole. I think the first 40 we just put together ourselves, and then we have a show break. The public comment.
Call it 48.
48.
Right.
The public can comment during that whole phase.
First 48. That's the most important time.
Yes.
First 48.
48. And then that'll be your chance to win a little cash, put some comments out there. Also influence those, that'd be 48. There's another 20 teams that have to make it on here. Hey, put in the comments why you think whatever. The smartphone should be a number 3 seed instead of a number 7 seed. Throw that out there. You might, if you have a good point.
And I will crush your good point if it comes to anything that's more recent, because just like that.
Yeah.
I mean, we're proving today that the dry erase board, although it's a successor of the chalkboard, it still is sufficient. Because how do you like our technology? We took our technology, our PowerPoint, and we said, "Fuck you." We're not investing that money in technology. We're going to say we're going to dangle it out there for you guys. Instead of putting a big projector screen and stuff, we're going old school, tactile.
No, this is how you have to start with these problems.
We're spitballing.
Spitballing it out.
Brainstorming. Throwing spaghetti against the wall, see what sticks.
Yeah, this is spaghetti. You
can't do that. Spaghetti is going to make the list.
Will one food even make the list? Is there a food out there?
And potatoes.
Potatoes. Possibly. I don't know. Food's good, but it's not innate to humanity.
Food is good.
Yeah. A lot of things eat potatoes. That's the problem. Like baked potatoes.
But harvesting potatoes, or the Irish potato famine, things like that. Potato vodka. Potatoes are sweet potatoes in Asia.
Yeah, there's I don't know.
But we digress.
Time seeing it.
Okay.
So
rules: meta, macro, trying to find enough things. They're going to fill it out in certain categories that really have everything to do with Mankind Madness. And that's that. That's all there is to it. You guys need to keep tuning in, and we're going to keep making these ridiculous episodes, and we're going to start filling in this bracket until you guys will see the progression. The most exciting thing might be the reveal, or will it be the action, or will it be the result, or will it be already,
who knows?
What we've already said. Is that the most important thing we've ever done? Is what we've already said. Bang. Maybe our podcast winds up being number 1. There's a chance.
Important.
But certainly we will enable you, the internet audience, to chime in at certain time. And if you guys say, hey, shut up, keep it quick, whatever.
We're just going to talk.
Yeah,
that's going to happen.
We're probably going to continue to go the same.
I mean, you're going to have to throw out a pretty substantial reasoning. Yeah, there'll be some fact checking going on, but yeah, I'm looking forward to fucking learning some fucking new shit. So
That's right.
throw some comments down. You know the rules. You know the layout. It's gonna be a fucking great tournament.
And with any luck, we'll still be friends at the end of it.
Yes.
All right. Stay tuned.
Let's do this shit.
Scored again.